So I just wanted to share an answer with someone, and she was basically observing that when she's abiding as the stillness and silence of our being, she's noticing that the mind is not coming back so fast, that there's this time period, she's saying minutes or hours, that she's going without having the mind activity. And this is really that state of no mind, where you're abiding in your being. And as long as you're abiding in your being, you're present. And the activity of the mind, it's no longer there. And that's what really pulls you outward. Really, it's the identification with the thoughts that make it feel like you're coming and going, that you're going somewhere, that there's this past and future. Because without the mind, there is no past and there is no future. There's only the now. There's only the present moment. And as you're resting in your being, there's only this present moment. So you're no longer identifying with thoughts. And she says that this is a relief. It's a relief because it's the identification with thoughts that create the suffering. It's the identification with thoughts that create the sense of a separate self that is trying to go somewhere and control something and has a past and a future and has a whole story. When we aren't identifying with thoughts, there's no story. There's no trying to get somewhere. There's just simply what is. So you'll find that you'll start enjoying more of this no mind state as you abide more and more in our true nature, in our being. You'll find that you can rest in our being. It doesn't mean that you're always going to be just sitting in the lotus position and not moving. What will happen is you'll start becoming aware of this silence and stillness that is always present, this restfulness, this peace, this happiness, this love, this freedom that is always present within you. And you won't look for it in anything else. You'll start discovering it in yourself, and you'll just start enjoying that. You'll just rest in that. And then you'll seem to have almost two dimensions, that there's this outer dimension that seems to be happening. There's the body moving and there's activities happening in the world, but you're always centered in your being. You're always resting in your being, which then it doesn't really matter what's going on in the outside world because you're just experiencing your being. You're just tasting your being. You're tasting this happiness, this love, this peace, this freedom, this fulfillment. That's for no reason. It's just your true nature. So that's what you're experiencing more and more as you abide in your true nature, is that you just start experiencing more and more of yourself. You're just simply realizing that which you are, because you're no longer taken away from it. When we are identified with our thoughts, it's like we are getting lost. Now, we're not really getting lost because we're always our being. You're always yourself. You cannot lose yourself. You're always yourself. But when we imagine ourselves to be something other than ourselves, it creates this feeling of being lost. As long as we aren't imagining, which takes thoughts, which is the identification of thoughts, as long as we are not imagining ourselves to be some separate entity that has a past and has a future, then we're simply just here, now, present, this presence that we are. So enjoy that. Enjoy that transitioning. And that's really after our initial awakening. That's what is happening. That's why it's called awakening. It's a process. It's a process until essentially you're just simply resting as that true nature all the time. It's what people will call sahaja samadhi, meaning natural samadhi. Really, it's just our natural self. When we stop identifying with what we are not, then there's no identification with what we're not, and we're just simply resting in what we are. And to be what you are, to be what you are already, is the most natural, hence natural self. So there's just a natural feeling that life just continues, and you have this inner light, this inner love, this inner happiness, this inner freedom, this inner fulfillment, this feeling of completeness, wholeness, fullness, which is missing nothing. And this is our true nature. This is our being. So enjoy that transitioning. The more you simply abide and not get so interested in the story and not get so overly identified and not get so identified as this role and that role and goals and ambitions and past and future, then you're simply experiencing more of this no mind state, which then you just experience as, what a relief. I'm relaxed. I'm resting. I'm happy. I'm love. I'm peace. I'm freedom. I'm fulfilled. I lack nothing. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. I'm just simply content. You're having this feeling inside you more and more. And as soon as the identification comes, you'll find that it's a world of difference. That, whoa, what happened? Where was I? You'll feel like you're this sense of you lost it. I got to get back there. But that's not really what's happening. You're not losing your true nature. You can't lose yourself. How can you lose yourself? How can you lose what you are? That's not what's happening. What's happening is there's this kind of flip-flopping in this in-between stage as we progress from the initial awakening, where it feels like, I lost it, I got to find it. I lost it, I got to find it. But again, this is that identification with the separate self. Who is the separate self that has lost their true self? Who is the separate self that has lost their true nature? It's not that. It's the true nature that's identifying as a separate entity. That's what feels like it's being lost. But it's not. It's the fact that there's an identification still happening. There's still some strong attachment, some strong identification where the attention is going outward and can't simply just rest in itself, where there's that self-awareness, where you're just aware of yourself. And what you'll notice is as it continues, more and more of that self-awareness, that happiness, that love, that peace, that freedom, that fulfillment just seems to permeate into your experience of life. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. You're always feeling this inner happiness, this inner love, this inner peace, this inner freedom. And your entire life just seems to be permeated by it. So enjoy that transitioning process.